Welcome back, Mando.
Oh, greetings, bucketheads. Mavar Tagar. Welcome to our 270th Order 66th evading episode of Mandivision. Now, I'm your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you for checking the small independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad you're here. I still sound terrible. I don't know why. I feel fine. I don't get it. Reach out to us on the socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter/X and Instagram. You can email the show at mandivisiontom@gmail.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Bucketheads, we are back to resume our coverage of the final season of Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and we are to the moment. What we've all been waiting for. What we all knew was coming when the show first debuted, of what I think many people thought would be the end of Ahsoka Tano when initially the show was announced and we found out that Anakin was getting his Padawan, and we were all like, but wait, he can't have a Padawan because they're just going to die in Order 66 anyways. Well, my friends, I think we've learned over the years that despite the overwhelming efficiency of Order 66, a lot of people survived. Just Jedi popping up left and right all over the place. So despite the fact that they got like 99.9% of the Jedi, that 0.1 just you can't get rid of them all, I guess. Ultimately, like, Ahsoka's fate is sort of spoiled by the fact that the premature canceling of the Clone Wars, and then eventually her arrival in Star Wars Rebels, sort of was like that moment, like, oh, all right, so somehow, some way, Ahsoka will survive Order 66. So, in that regards, a lot of the sort of dramatic tension, I suppose, is not in these episodes, because ultimately we know her fate, that she will somehow survive. But it's the somehow that's so compelling in these final 4 episodes, because it's a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of questions that we had that we needed to get answers to. And these episodes, I think, really bring it all home. So much good stuff, so much action. The first half of this episode is almost all like mood and atmosphere and sort of setting the tone. And then we get to the moment. And it delivers the goods. And I'm so excited to talk about this episode. There won't be... I don't know. I was thinking about it. Like, I don't really know how we're going to kind of get into this episode, because other than just talking about like the cool things that happen in it, there's not much to say. There's no criticism here that I can make on anything. Just a couple comments, some observations, my level of enjoyment and those kind of things, because this is a stellar episode. Like I said, they really hit that dramatic moment by setting the mood, setting the tone early in the episode. And when it happens, it's oh so very, very good, because it is a punch in the gut, despite the fact that we know it's coming. But the way they set up, the way they deliver it, the moment with Rex and Ahsoka, it is a gut punch, and I'm here for it. So let's go ahead. We're going to get into the episode right now. You know what that means. It's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Has come. Execute Order 66.
All right, this is Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 7, Episode 11, original air date May 1st, 2020. Written by Dave Filoni, directed by Sal Ruiz. Our plot for this week's episode, well, we get there. Let's do the cast first. Ashley S. Stein is Ahsoka Tano. Katie Sackhoff is Bo-Katan. Dave Filoni as Cheap. D. Bradley Baker is Commander Rex, and the Clone Troopers. Silas Carson is Ki-Adi-Mundi. Terrence T.C. Carson is Mace Windu. Sam Witwer is Darth Maul. Gwendolyn Yo as Nala Se. Ian McDiarmid as Darth Sidious. Tom Kane as Yoda. Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, as well as Matt Lanter as Anakin Skywalker. And we even get a little Samuel L. Jackson, my friends. Our plot: after capturing Maul on Mandalore, Ahsoka's journey to the Jedi Council is disrupted when Order 66 is declared, turning her world upside down. And of course, no Jedi fortune cookie with this episode. It's just more madness. And we start the episode back on Mandalore. Maul, still stunned, wrapped up by the Mandalorians. He's about to be encased in a Mandalorian vault to give him a very cool Hannibal Lecter-esque kind of vibe as he is going to be transported back to the Jedi Council. We get to see a final kind of moment between Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano, which is a really nice moment for these characters to have with one another. I just wish we had gotten to, see more of what their time together, what before they came to the Jedi for help in taking back Mandalore. Like, I'd love to see whether it's in the Ahsoka show via flashbacks with Katie Sackhoff, or whether it's just another, some kind of an animated thing in the Jedi, in Tales of the Jedi or something like that. I would like to see more of these characters getting together and kind of seeing how Bo had influence on Ahsoka's training ultimately. We see the little light marks on Ahsoka's headdress now that Bo-Katan has on hers, and obviously there's a lot of influence there. They obviously formed a camaraderie with one another, as is apparent from the dialogue. But I'd like to see those adventures very, very much. So whether it's in a comic book or something like that, I would like to go down that path. So they get a nice moment, a nice little send-off. It's a nice moment for Bo, too, as Bo begins to realize that, much like she did here in the Mandalorian in these recent seasons, all she knows is war. Being the leader is the hard part. And I think she begins to understand her sister a little bit better now, for at least trying something different, even though she disagreed with it wholeheartedly. I think she realizes the burden of leadership is going to be not easily accomplished. And it sort of sets the tone for what's next in Mandalore's history, with the occupation coming up and all those good things that we'll get to in due time, my friends. Don't worry. We're not going to skip over that good stuff. But yeah, a nice moment there. Maul being hauled out in that Hannibal Lecter kind of styled Mandalorian vault. It's similar in many cases to like a slab of carbonite, except they move it. It's upright when they push it around, which is kind of cool. But Maul's in there, and you see the yellow Sith eyes of Maul looking in and just hating everyone, and just sort of biding his time, right? Like you think maybe Maul's trying to figure something out. He's going to be hatching plans in there for the time when he gets to escape, if he does. So again, it's from here on out that we begin to sort of go into like a really atmospheric sort of version of the show for a little bit here, as we say goodbye to Mandalore and the Siege of Mandalore, and now we are going to be, the next few minutes of the show transport us to the film, right, to the end of the Jedi, to the rise of the Sith and the Empire, and I think it's done masterfully. The Kevin Kiner score is fantastic. It sets the mood. It sets the tone. It is shadowy and foreboding. And again, we're the audience. We know it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. But before we get there, as Maul's being put away on the Venerator ship, and they're getting ready to head back to Coruscant to take Maul to the Jedi Council, we get another great moment between Ahsoka and Rex. And again, it's a nice moment for these characters to kind of realize that the war was not not what they're supposed to be doing. Ahsoka has that moment where she's like, we're supposed to be, guardians of peace in the galaxy, and instead we're soldiers. All I've been is a soldier since I've been a Padawan. And Rex, again, he realizes how complicated his own existence is, because without the Clone Wars, he and his brothers wouldn't exist at all. So they were created to fill this purpose, but they've become, individuals. They've become their own people. Rex has grown from so much more than just a soldier, just like all his brothers have. Like that clip from Yoda back in season 1. Each of these clones burns brightly in the Force as individuals, not as like one collective. And it's just sort of like this acknowledgement of both the characters, of their situations moving forward here, like as the Clone Wars come to their end after so many years now. So a nice moment there before it all hits the fan. But I do want to talk a little bit more about just prior to that, because this episode does a really nice job, just like the episodes before it, of sort of dancing between the raindrops of the continuity and what was going on in the film. And never do we see that more strongly than in the holo projector scene when Ahsoka comes into the room. We see Mace and Yoda and Ki-Adi-Mundi having the conversation that we know from the film. And then when they're part of it, the part that we know from the film ends is when Ahsoka enters, and we get to fill in a little bit more of what this conversation was. And there was more going on at that meeting than just learning that Commander Cody and General Kenobi have engaged the Grievous's forces on Utapau. No. This is Ahsoka coming in to be like, hey, by the way, we got Maul. Mandalore has been liberated, and I'm bringing him back. There's a lot happening here. But as Ahsoka makes clear, she's not back with the Jedi. She did this as an upright citizen of the galaxy. And so when they start talking about very important things, Mace cuts her out of the conversation and says, this is not a conversation for citizens. This is for the Jedi Council to discuss. And it's at that point that Ahsoka decides to not tell the Jedi Council what Maul said about Anakin. She does not share that information. And I wonder if it's a decision that she will ultimately regret. It's not something that they've talked about much. Maybe they get to it in Rebels a little bit. I can't remember if there's any dialogue pertaining to this moment. I don't think there is. But it's an interesting choice nonetheless that Ahsoka keeps that information that Maul imparted to her. Does she not believe him at all? Is she that confident in Anakin to be the pillar of good in the galaxy? It's unclear why she doesn't do it, why she doesn't share the information. Perhaps it's still because she doesn't trust the Jedi Council. Again, she learned last week that they asked her to have... She learned that the Council, had asked Anakin to spy on the Chancellor. So a lot of her trust issues with the Jedi Council still exist. And that may also factor into why she decided to keep that information to herself. But ultimately, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think she keeps it to herself because she believes in Anakin. He is not only her master and teacher and friend, but to her, Anakin is the exemplary of a good and honorable Jedi in her eyes. And I don't think she believes what Maul says for a second could be true. Until it is. Until Maul and Ahsoka begin to sense a massive disturbance in the Force. And that is the death of the Jedi Council, the conflict between Mace Windu and the Chancellor, and Anakin making his choice, and them feeling it through the Force. And it's awesome. It's a great, great scene, because shortly after that is when Rex gets the Order 66, and it takes everything in his body to not just fire on Ahsoka Tano and kill her right there. The person who just, again, their relationship's so strong, so dedicated to each other, their friendship, unbelievable. And the moment when we hear the order come through and we see the shaking hands of Rex as he drops his helmet. Again, it's a punch you in the gut kind of thing, and I think they executed it really, really well. They give you that emotion, that kind of heartbreak, right? Again, we know Ahsoka's going to survive this. We know Rex is going to survive this. We've seen them on Rebels, but it's the how. It's the how that's really important, and that's what we're getting here in this episode, and it is really great. We get to see Ahsoka holding off the clones as she tries to make her way into the ship's interior to figure out just what the heck is going on. Rex gives her a clue, says to find fives, and this sets Ahsoka on a path to figure out just what happened to CT 555555555. So many fives, but yeah, again, the clone that almost ruined everything. Ahsoka gets to become aware of the inhibitor chip, what's going on there. She uses her army of droids, of her astromech droid army, to isolate Rex and then get him into the medical bay, get the chip removed, and now she has an ally. But before that, my friends, she made a calculated risk, took a calculated risk, and made a bold decision.
Well, you've done the right thing by coming to me. Only together can we survive this. Now, if you will follow my lead.
You don't understand. I'm not here to team up with you. I need a diversion, and you're it. Now go cause some chaos. It's what you're good at.
Yes, that's right, friends. Ahsoka turns Maul loose on the clones, and it leads to just an incredible moment. Another incredible Star Wars hallway scene with Maul, with only the Force in his pocket, just mowing his way through clone soldiers in a variety of interesting ways. Many deaths, a couple of decapitations, limbs askew, arms akimbo. And it's so good. He's so menacing. And again, it's a small scene when she frees him. But when he asks for a lightsaber is another great moment. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to play the clip. I don't care. Check it out.
Kid, give me a fighting chance.
I'm not rooting for you. Now get going.
The look on his face is so great when Ahsoka said, I'm not rooting for you. It's incredible. I love this Ahsoka. Single-minded determination, completely focused, will not be swayed by Maul, will not be lured in to his nonsense. No. He is an agent of chaos, and she is using him to aid her own survival. It is excellent. And again, the hallway scene with Maul using the Force is brilliant. It's so well done. It's so well executed. Again, Star Wars in hallways, right? Like, what are you gonna do? This is like the new thing. This is all we do in Star Wars now. We just want to see rad hallway scenes. I guess I get it because they kick booty when we get them. Good stuff. But yes, ultimately we get back to the perilous attempt to recover and help Rex. We've removed his inhibitor chip. The clones are coming in. They're gonna get Ahsoka. They're gonna get her. But Rex saves the day. Rex snaps to and shoots several of his brothers to save Ahsoka. And it buys them a moment. And again, Ahsoka not fully understanding quite how widespread this is. And that's where we end the episode. That's where we end the episode with Rex telling her that it's all of us. It's the entire Grand Army of the Republic. And that just sets the stage for our final act to be coming next week as we close out Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This episode is an absolute home run. I love the way it sort of closes out Mandalore, the way it dances between the raindrops and sets everything up for episode 3 as we're moving into that territory. I loved Bo-Katan and Ahsoka getting to say goodbye. I loved Ahsoka and Rex having like their kind of quiet moment before it all hits the fan. And I loved Ahsoka putting Maul in check. It was awesome. And again, that face that he makes when Ahsoka will not give him a lightsaber is so good. Last week we talked about how much fun Whitwer had to have getting to chew all that dialogue that he had, and this week, it must have amused him to be able to kind of play Maul that way in this episode as sort of like this a slightly petulant, and thinking he's about to gain the upper hand. He's gonna have this great team up with Ahsoka. They're gonna rain holy heck on the clones. Not so fast, my friend. So a wide range of emotions from Sam Witwer in this arc. I loved getting the droids involved. You know me, I love droids. If there's one thing I love more than clones, it might be the droids. So getting the fleet of astromechs to be Ahsoka's aid, killer stuff. And then ultimately, again, we just kind of set up next week where our two heroes, Rex, Ahsoka, overwhelming odds. How are they going to survive? That is the question, my friends. Again, we know they do, but we want to see how it all comes to be as the Clone Wars come to an ending. Good Lord. Guys, I'm sorry about my voice. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm clearly falling apart here. I assure you, my menthol days are long behind me. But with any luck, next week, I will be sounding back to optimum is what I'm hoping for. But yeah, these last 2 days, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I sound like this. I feel perfectly fine. I just seem to have a frog in my throat. It is what it is, Bucketheads. This is another 10-bucket banger from our friends at Star Wars. So get out there and rewatch these. They're a hoot. I'm having so much fun. Order 66 is here. The time of the Jedi is over. But how do Ahsoka and Rex make it out? You'll have to tune in next week where we're going to talk about it. And it's an action-packed installment. Oh, and what's the fate of Maul? Well, don't worry. We know he survives too. So, hey, mild spoilers on that, I suppose. Anyways, this is the Mandovision Podcast, and I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you for being here. Thank you for indulging my scratchy, crackly voice today. Truly appreciate it. Hit us up on the socials. We're at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If you can, sweet 5-star reviews. They help us out a bunch. All right, Bucketheads, go out there. Continue to be great Star Wars fans. I'll be back next week to wrap up the Clone Wars, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, because there's plenty of Star Wars to watch. Don't worry about that. All right, Bucketheads. Remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.